We who are about to die salute you.
So we're back and we're going to do better this time.
Apparently.
So we thought we'd start with Triceratopses.
Which is the plural. We can tell you that.
Yeah, we don't have a question for today, do we?
I don't think so. I mean, a good question is, what do I do if I can't get hand sanitizer? We will be answering that later. Stay tuned.
You can tell by the expression on my face that I already know the answer to this.
It's very useful. You should stay tuned.
You're probably not going to expect it. Today we thought we'd speak from personal experience because I asked the question in the last episode, well, what makes us experts? And, well, nothing really, except for Kathleen does actually have experience of being confined to the house.
House arrest.
For long periods of time. No, not the house arrest, the illness.
Oh, okay. Forget I said anything about the house arrest.
That didn't happen.
No. So I have personal experience, and Alistair has experience of my person being personally stuck in a house with me. So we thought that would count.
Yeah, let's go with that. So, what comparisons can you draw between this time and the time when you were ill and literally couldn't move out of the bed? Because I know that you have described this as like you feel like the illness was preparing you for this.
Yes.
And you can relate and understand what we're going through a lot better because of it.
Indeed. Except, of course, mine was worse, and you should all be grateful to me for sharing my insights.
So, what we're actually trying to say is use the benefit of Kathleen's experience to get ahead of this.
Yes.
Even
though this is about day 35.
Yes.
Ahead of most of it.
There's still some of us don't know what to expect.
So, my experience was that I have psoriatic arthropathy, which is an autoimmune disorder where my body thinks that all my cells are trying to kill me and it tries to kill them first. So the arthropathy is because there are swollen joints, but it's a disease underlying it. So it can also affect things like eyeballs, mouth lining, tendons, that kind of thing. So, you're itchy and everything hurts, and then you also have dry eyes, just to, kick you in the teeth when you're down. And sometimes your teeth might fall out because your gums aren't doing very well. So that's the untreated version of the disease. I had 2 major flare-ups in my life. One completely unexpectedly. I'd been building up to it for a while, and then when I was about 25, I had a nap because I was feeling a bit under the weather. And when my alarm went off and I woke up, I was in so much pain I couldn't even move to shut the alarm off. And that then turned into a couple of weeks of needing people to look after me all the time, into months. And a bit like this, I didn't really know what to expect. So thankfully, me being stable now, I don't have to worry about the extreme pain. Basically, all the discomfort I have now is because of joint damage and things that has happened through the disease, like my deformed hand and things. So I'm not dealing with quite the same level of distress and immobility being stuck in the house this time, which is nice. But I do know what it's like when you're suddenly struck with this need to stay at home and you don't really know how long it's going to go on, and there's a bit of uncertainty. So I thought that might provide some relevant experience here.
Cool. So you have a sense of familiarity with the situation people find themselves in, except it's slightly better because for certain prescribed reasons, we are allowed to go outside and we are able to do so, which was not the experience you had the first time around. So what do people, especially, like we say, about a month into a lockdown, what sort of feelings and emotions and unexpected things could happen at this stage that people might not realise is coming because they think they've adjusted now? Anything we need to watch out for?
Well, I would say the main thing at this point is be prepared to have to prevent yourself from throttling your loved ones. Not you, we got on very well. You can come back.
Okay.
So one of the frustrations when you're stuck inside, especially when you are able to go outside, is that you're trapped. You can't really get time off. If you're sharing a small house like we are, there's not a whole lot of space you can get. And when I was living in a one-bedroom flat and my parents were having to stay with me, one of my friends used to come round to sit with me when I couldn't be left alone, so that my daddy could go for a walk and didn't want to strangle me quite so much, which I think was a great public service on her part.
I mean, even now, he only wants to strangle you some of the time.
Not all of the time. Things have changed. So, other emotions you might feel depressed, which is normal. You might feel happy some days, and then suddenly you'll just feel very fatigued and run down. You're probably already getting frustrated with the things that you can't do. I find there's a novelty period where everything is new. Most of us probably spent the first couple of weeks trying to work out literally where our next meal was coming from. So...
Or the next roll of toilet paper.
That too. So we had that phase, and I found that very stressful because I was online every day looking at new slots at the supermarket, seeing if there were any deliveries that we could have, and that really dominated the first phase. So I found that quite stressful, and then we got into the okay, everything's normal now, we've got things under control, and it felt fine. And then that's when you get a bit stressed because, oh yeah, it's not much fun being stuck indoors. We've been quite lucky that we have a garden. So I've had some sun this week. I've had a bit too much sun. I'm a bit pinker than I would like. The dog has been able to get outside. She's also, because of her bad back, not wanted walks quite so much, which has made it easier, but it's meant that we haven't had so much exercise as we would have, and that's something that can make you feel a bit down. So, you know, even if you have to go on YouTube, you can get little workout videos, and we've had ones up like dancercise videos, and I recommend not hurting yourself trying to do things that you can't do. If there's a move where you can't go down to the floor because you need a team of people to get you up again, then you can just sort of wiggle in place for a bit and wait for the next thing that you can do. So that's something that I would suggest doing if you need to get moving inside. Also giving yourself time. A lot of people have said things like, this could be the most productive time in my life because I have time to work and focus on stuff or get the garden sorted. We started off doing a lot of work in the house. The problem being that at some point that will end and then you will be depressed and exhausted. So giving yourself time to feel all the feelings is quite helpful because frustration is normal. You don't have to be the most productive version of yourself during a pandemic. None of us have done this before. So just having time to feel your feelings, think your thoughts, not kill your loved ones.
That's coming up an awful lot for someone that doesn't want to kill me.
I'm just reminding you that you don't have to kill me either.
Right, I will put that in my diary.
But it may be going in our vows, you know, till your mysterious, unexplained death us do part. Still love me?
Yeah. No, I've got my ring. You put a ring on it, and
I did.
I've made a commitment that we will be together until your death we do part.
Hang on.
We've seen some good scenes as well. The 8 o'clock Thursday clap is really nice.
Yes, Scout is very confused though because she isn't sure if people are clapping for her or if we're just all supposed to make noise. And then she howls and no one tells her to stop, and she is
the only time she's allowed to bark and howl to her heart's content.
Yes.
So she quite likes it. we do it. Next door does the clap as well. Two houses across the street were involved last time, and we couldn't see anyone else doing it, but we could hear it. There
Mm-hmm.
were definitely claps ringing up and down the street. So it's really nice to support our carers like that at a safe distance. Don't all gather on Westminster Bridge and clap for the people that are going to be caring for you next week.
We who are about to die salute you.
You came across a really interesting fact.
And helpful. Very helpful.
What to do if you run out of hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say you weren't warned. We've
No.
foreshadowed it enough in this video already.
I think it's useful.
Go for it.
Yes. A great utility. Well, if you run out of hand sanitizer, then in a pinch, you can use vulture poop.
No joke.
No. It's very caustic and it cleans their legs after they've been standing in corpses with, anthrax and all sorts of things. So you literally could use it to clean your hands. And you wouldn't get ill.
Counterintuitive though that might be.
Mm-hmm. So if you can find a friendly local vulture, then you're sorted, even if you can't find any hand sanitizer in the shops.
We did also ask you to send us any questions you had. We have had literally one, and it is, what do we think of how our American friend is handling the situation?
Whitney?
No, not that American friend.
Daryl?
No.
Jen?
No.
Brandon?
No.
Meg?
No.
Duke?
No.
Titus?
No.
Lillian?
No.
Jen?
You said Jen.
Other Jen.
Oh, right, no.
I know lots of Jens. I can keep going with the Jens. Is it any of these people?
It's not actually one of our American friends.
Oh, okay.
She's referring to
Bartram?
Donald Trump.
Not Luca then.
No.
None of the dogs.
No, she's asking how we think Donald Trump has been handling the coronavirus crisis.
Because asking Scottish people what they think of Donald Trump is always going to end well.
Yes. So I've been playing about with that. I mean, she also said, I think I know what your answer is going to be. It's hard. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say he's been doing a brilliant job.
Really?
I mean, what has been good about his response? I mean, literally nothing. I've been trying over the last couple of days to figure out a good sort of catch-all layman's terms. How do we put in perspective how he's been handling this? The meme going around the internet, I think, is quite a good place to start. If he'd been captain of the Titanic, there is no icebergs. Icebergs are fake news. Nobody knows more about icebergs than me. I always said there'd be an iceberg. People are going to die. It is a bit like that. I'm kind of thinking of it. It doesn't matter who you are in life. Presumably, I know we're all locked down at the moment, but most of us have businesses with a building that we go to. We do sometimes work from home, but even those of us who don't, we can imagine the idea that you work for somebody. There's a building that you go to. Now, in this analogy, coronavirus is going to be replaced by fire. So imagine you get a new manager at work, and as soon as he's in the door, the outgoing manager says, right, I've got to take you through a few things. One of those things would be fire safety. No, I'm not interested in that, says the manager. Not to worry, some of the workers further down the chain that work on the premises will be given fire safety training, so that there will always be people on duty that know what to do in the event of a fire. And then you fast forward 3 years, this manager, still no interest in fire safety. The fire brigade have been sending daily briefings to the receptionist saying, you've got to watch out for next door. They're doing some dangerous things and flouting a lot of fire safety regulations. This could become a problem. Gets to the receptionist, but the receptionist is never able to get the manager to pay attention to this. Meanwhile, everyone that had the fire safety training 3 years ago has been sacked. So if anything happens, nobody knows what to do. Then on top of that, a fire does break out in the building next door. So the manager goes to see the manager of the building next door, and the manager of the building next door says, everything's fine. Meanwhile, you're also there going, are you sure? Because it looks like the fire is spreading into our building now. And your manager goes, no, look, the manager of next door said that everything was fine and that the fire definitely wasn't going to spread over to our building, so I think we can take his word for it. And you say, that doesn't sound like a really good idea. I'm going to go and get the fire extinguisher. So you go to get the fire extinguisher and you realise that the manager has sold all the fire extinguishers to make an extra bit of money. So now you've got your building is catching fire, and everyone that's been trained in what to do with it has disappeared. So what do you do now? And then the manager is going down saying, well, apparently liquid-based things will put out the fire, so we'll just throw the gasoline on it. Is it? No, we can't do that. And you're like, well, I'm sure we have some safety procedures around here somewhere, and you dig them out of an old cupboard and say, right, well, here's what we do to ensure the most people survive, that we can save as many people. But the manager says, yeah, but also if we do that, we won't make as much money. So we're not going to get everyone out, we're just going to tell the guests to stay where they are, because we can't have a reputation being harmed. And you're trying to make reasonable arguments about, well, our reputation's going to go down the pan anyway. No, keep everyone where they are. Don't tell the customers that the building is on fire. And then more fire spreads throughout the building. People are dying because they haven't been warned, they haven't taken appropriate action. And then the manager realizes, oh, we could probably claim this as an insurance job and probably make some money out of it if we just open all the doors and let the fire spread about as much as it wants. That's kind of where we are, and you're probably thinking that in this analogy, Donald Trump is the new manager that came in 3 years ago and has messed all this up. You're probably thinking, in my analogy, I'm referring to Donald Trump as that. No, somehow Donald Trump is worse than this, because at every stage of this process, he has been getting up and telling the media that it's definitely not his fault. He's doing better than anybody else could have possibly done in the situation that he finds himself in, and half the time it's all a media or Democratic hoax. Oh, and on top of all that, the fire brigade has not been called. Nobody's called the fire brigade. In fact, the manager has phoned the fire brigade, told them not to bother coming because he's not going to pay his tax dollars to get the fire brigade to come out in the first place. Would that about sum it up?
That was beautiful. That was a parable.
Mm-hmm.
And also, flamey.
Yes. We're screwed.
Lessons in lockdown. Lessons in lockdown. Hit it.
You know I'm not going to put that in, right?
Yes.
So we're back by popular demand.
Who demanded it?
I think maybe one or two people.
Were they us?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can't claim that they were sane.
Another thing you could do for fun is novelty hairstyles. You're probably stuffed because they're more than 95% eradicated. which actually has been a problem when it comes to keeping rabies and anthrax down.
Public decency, dear, public decency.
Mhm.
I didn't say that you were never allowed to do it ever again.
No, I think you should have to see what you look like as a mushroom just as a lesson to you. And it does look like a 6-year-old did it, but it's a rainbow, so who cares?